My name is John Allen. I'm a male with white hair and white beard and a black shirt, and getting older here, but feeling good. So here are this week's announcements. We try to make our service as accessible as possible with hearing helpers and large print versions of service materials available from our ushers. Our weekly newsletter is available on our website, and paper copies are at the entrances to the building. To receive an emailed copy each week, please speak to a greeter or usher. Interested in donating flowers for Sunday's service? To sign up, please view the newsletter. Pastoral care is available for everyone, newcomers, members, and visitors alike. Please reach out for any assistance. If you'd like to join, sign up through our newsletter. This week's newsletter highlights several upcoming events and future service dates. Copies are available. Please pick one up to review. Thank you to all who have pledged. If you haven't pledged, please use the online or paper form. For questions, reach out to Janet Riley or Dan DeHano. The Hinckley Award honors a member who has made a significant and sustained contribution to our church. Past recipients are listed in Whitcomb Hall. Please send nominations to Deb Jose by Sunday, May 11th, including name or names, and reason. The deadline for nominations is Sunday, May 17th. For next week's service, the Joyful Voices of Inspiration Choir will be our guest musicians. Book Club meets Thursday, May 21st, 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. in the Harrington Room to discuss this month's book. See the newsletter more. Thank you to all who have contributed to Coffee Hour this week. Next week, we invite those with names from I through R to contribute. Sign up in the newsletter to help. As a reminder, please support our building by tidying up after all church activities. Thank you for supporting our staff and community. This is the end of today's announcement. Please check that you have silenced your phone and other communication devices. And now, please turn around and wave to all the lovely people who are joining us via Zoom. Our video camera is just to the right of the exit sign over the door. Emma will now play our prelude, I'm Troubled in My Mind, by Florence Price.
There is too much beauty in this world to give up on it yet, and it is always too soon to surrender to cynicism. Bring your doubt, your skepticism, your downright confusion, even your bitterness. But in the midst of all of these, in the center, wrap your tender fingers around that still bright thread of hope. Feel in your heart that still steady hunger for something more. The vision we glimpse every day in the rising sun across the foothills. The light that spreads across the face of the one you love. The look of knowing all there is to know and still loving life, loving us just as it is, just as you are. For this hour, we come to celebrate, to praise, to give thanks, to refuse to give up, to steady ourselves, keepers of hope, brave builders of this still possible world. Come, let us worship together. Good morning. My name is Michael Carmody. I'm a straight white 70-year-old male with silver hair, and I'm wearing a striped shirt and a black fleece vest. I'm the I'm the Music and Worship Commissioner for First Parish, and will be serving today as Worship Associate. Today, we're joined by Claire, Karl, B.W. Müller. Is that the correct pronunciation? I didn't check with you. Müller, who use they, them pronouns. Claire Karl is a force of nature. They are a fifth-generation Germanic settler to eastern Massachusetts and identify as a white, middle-class, non-binary, small, fat, neuro-spicy organizer. Their values are curiosity, compassion, truth, and people power. They feel called to work with other white middle-class folks for justice and join the team at UU Mass Action in 2020. They have organized for climate and environmental justice since 2007 and is the co-coordinator of the statewide Climate Justice Coalition, Mass Power Forward, which they founded in 2015. Claire Karl is a UU Mass Action staff lead for climate work, Indigenous solidarity, trans justice, and democracy. Thank you for being with us today, Claire Karl. We're very grateful to have you. And now we'd like to invite Alice and Evan Taylor to light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith.
The Great Turning by Lisa Garcia Simpson. In these wild, historic, and uncertain times, we gather to remember who we are, who we belong to, and what we are called to do. As we light this chalice, we kindle the spirit of the Great Turning. The movement for justice alive in this nation today. May we feel it in our bones, and in the stillness of this hour, may we sense it calling our name.
Thank you, Alice and Evan.
Where is it?
Please join us now in our opening hymn, Join us in whatever way feels right for you, whether it's rising in body, swaying back and forth, tapping your feet, singing with gusto, or just listening to the sounds of those around you. Our hymn is number 318, We Would Be One, found in the gray or dark blue hymnal. 318. Remain standing for just a moment longer, if you will, to join in our unison affirmation that begins with the word love. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. Please be seated.
Good morning, everybody. My name is April Rosario. I am a Black woman in my late 30s with shoulder-length dreadlocks, and I am so honored to get to serve as your Director of Faith Formation. And I have a story to tell you today. And this one was actually written the way I like to start them all off. So I'm going to invite you to help me start it off. And if it's your first time joining us, you will quickly learn how I love to start every story. This story starts with... Once upon a time, there was a drop of water who went by the name of Higgins. Now, Higgins was no ordinary drop of water. He was a drop with a dream. You see, Higgins lived in a valley where it hadn't rained for a very long time. The grass was browning, the flowers were wilting, everything was kind of sad and droopy and a little dehydrated. But Higgins had a dream. His dream was that one day the valley would be a beautiful place again. But what could he do? He was just a drop of water. Well, he got to thinking about it, and he decided that he would go and tell all the other drops of water his dream. So he did. And wouldn't you know, they all listened, very politely. But not a single one believed anything he said was true. They said things like, "Higgins, get your head out of the clouds. You can't spend your whole life dreaming." Higgins decided that the only way to do something was to show them. So he said to all the other drops of water, "I bet if we got enough drops into a bucket, we could do something." "No," they said. Well, Higgins didn't give up. In fact, one day he was walking along and he passed an old rusty bucket. He decided this was his chance, right then and there, in that moment. He was going to convince the other drops of water that they were wrong. So Higgins backed up as far as he could. I can't because there's stairs behind me. I thought I had moved up farther. But Higgins backed up as far as he could, got a running start, and leaped into the bucket. Kerplunk! Splat, right there on the rusty bottom. And there he sat, one drop of water in a bucket. He sat for a long time. He started to get lonely, and it seemed like no one else was going to join him. But after a while, the other drops realized that Higgins was right. Things didn't just look droopy and sad, they were dying. The grass was dying, the trees were dying, the flowers were dying, and they agreed that something must be done. Suddenly one shouted, "Okay, I'm going into the bucket with Higgins." And he leaped through the air, splat, kerplunk, into the bottom of the bucket. Shortly after that, two other drops yelled, "Wait for us!" Run, jump, splat, kerplunk, into the bottom of the bucket. Then 10 drops, then 30 drops, then 50 drops, and then 100 drops came from all around, running, jumping. And soon it didn't sound like splat, kerplunk, because, the bucket was filling up. Before long, the bucket was completely full of water. And more drops were still coming. So much so that they had to find another bucket to hop in. Before long, there were 2 buckets, and then 3 buckets, and then 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10. Then 20, 100, thousands of buckets of water had been collected. And then came the most powerful breeze any of the drops had ever felt. It blew in across the valley, blew over the buckets, and they tipped, spilling the water and letting it flow freely until it mingled into a mighty stream. The water began to flow and touch the grass and the flower and the trees, and things began to perk up and spring alive again. It took a while, but eventually the valley came back to life. All of this because Higgins had a dream that came true. The end. Except I'm me. So that might be where the story ends. Well, it's not where I end, because I have a challenge for you, if you are willing to accept it. In the days and the weeks to come, I want you to put yourself into the shoes or droplet form of Higgins. Higgins, the droplet form of Higgins. What is your bucket? What are you filling? What is your dream, and who are you going to ask to join you? And with that in mind, I would invite you to rise in body or spirit or whatever way makes the most sense for you, and join us in our next hymn, 348, Guide My Feet.
Thank you. And before people do rise in body or spirit, there may be some of you looking at the lyrics and feeling a little uncomfortable. This is a traditional song with traditional lyrics, and it seems a little ableist while I run this race. But that is a euphemism for a journey that we are undertaking under our own steam. We are not expecting to be transported by somebody else. We have to do the work ourselves, and so that is what I think of as I sing this hymn. I am running a race. I am on a journey of discovery. And I hope you will join me in singing 348, Guide My Feet.
Good morning. It's great to have a response. I'm Nancy Lawrence, and I am a member of the care team here at First Parish. We are welcoming you at this time in the service to come and share with this group either your cares, which will make your cares lighter, or you may bring a joy, which you can share with all of us this morning. So I welcome you right now.
Is that it? Okay, and Nancy's going to light one more candle for those who... Can you hold the candle over that? Yeah. I'm sorry, did someone else want to say something? Okay. Nancy's going to light one more candle for everybody who has holding in their heart something that is important to them, but can't quite talk about it yet. But we're here. I'm on the team as well. So thank you. Yeah.
I want to invite you now to do a guided meditation with me, or as I prefer to think of it, cast a spell. So if you'd like to, I invite you to plant your feet on the ground or just notice the land underneath us. Notice that this is native, indigenous land that has been prayed into for thousands of years. Notice that strength and send a little feeling of gratitude through your limbs. I invite you to feel into your mind, your intellect, and notice any curiosities or thoughts that came up as we heard the concerns, the cares, heard the joys and the double joys, and to feel that sparkle in your intellect of connecting your mind with other minds. I invite you to feel in your heart all the feelings, all the emotions that maybe came up, where we take in concerns and help people carry that load, to lessen that load, where we take in the joys and we maximize and double and triple and quadruple that joy. I invite you to beam that out. And lastly, I invite you to feel in your spirit, whatever that word means to you, to notice our practice this morning together in this room, that so many people have been in this room together over the years, holding space for each other, aligning with our true core value of love. And to hold that bubble, and if you want to in your mind, I invite you to toss that bubble up into the sky, and may it beam out to all of those outside of this room who also need that love. Thank you.
Today's offering is an invitation to live into our shared values of care and community. All gifts given this morning will go to replenishing the minister's discretionary funds, whose funds have been used recently to support those affected by a recent fire involving a home owned by a longtime member of our congregation. This fire displaced several tenants, two of whom are members or close friends of our First Parish community. In addition, members of our congregation have stepped in with generosity, offering time, resources, and care, and this fund will also help support those ongoing efforts. In moments like these, we're reminded that church is not just a place we gather, but a network of relationships that holds us through times of need. Your generosity today helps provide immediate, compassionate support with real needs, with dignity and care. If you are able, we invite you to give generously. If you are not, please know that your presence here is also a gift. May what we offer today be a reflection of the love we share. And now, as the organ plays, let us now give generously and gratefully receive this morning's offering. One note is stuck on?
We have a stuck valve on the organ this morning.
Okay. So there's a high E, I think. Up there. Okay, there it goes. That was the coda. All right. Claire reminded me before the service that the original intention of Mother's Day, as you know, today is Mother's Day, and we honor our mothers, but that was not the original intention. It was started by mothers of Civil War soldiers as a message to our government to stop sending their children to die in battle. This leads into our reading this morning. Author, activist, and farmer Wendell Berry tells us in his 1969 collection of essays against the Vietnam War, wars have never made peace or preserved it for fostered its ideals. To have peace, you must make peace with your enemy. To make peace only with your friends is to avoid the issue and to permit a great principle to become absurd. Far from making peace, wars invariably serve as classrooms and laboratories where men and techniques and states of mind are prepared for the next war. Authentic peace is no more passive than war. Like war, it calls for discipline and intelligence and strength of character, though it calls also for higher principles and aims. If we are serious about peace, then we must work for it ardently, seriously, continuously, carefully, and bravely as we have ever prepared for war.
Good morning. My name is Karl, but you can also call me Karl Claire, or Karl. Any combination is good, just no nicknames. And I'm a white, assigned female at birth, middle-aged human. I'm so glad to be with you this morning. As introduced, I work at UU Mass Action. If you don't know us, we're your statewide nonprofit dedicated to building pathways to live our values in action at the statewide level. Right now, we have 7 different campaigns: housing justice, immigration justice, decarceration, trans justice, climate justice, Indigenous justice, and democracy. So hopefully one of those sounds exciting. And if you're interested, I've brought interest cards with me that I can give you at coffee hour to join our newsletter. But this morning, I want to focus on our democracy. It's in a rough spot, you may have heard. And to get into it, I want to first share a little bit about my personal history with politics and how I came to be political. So I'm the child of 2 public school teachers from the South Shore, and growing up, one of them always voted Republican, and the other one always voted Democrat. And as a kid, I would watch them talk about this. And what I remember most was that it seemed pretty civil and actually kind of funny at times. They would joke, should we even vote? We're just going to cancel each other out. So much so that when I was getting to understand maybe what I would be, I was like, I don't know, they both seem good. I feel so grateful to have witnessed such civil, loving political conversation, because that's not really where it's at most of the time these days. And when our nation democratically elected an authoritarian for the second time, I have to say my heart broke in a whole new way. Now, I'm the kind of person that when these moments happen, I wake up the next morning and I'm like, let's go. Let's get moving. What do we need to do? I want to get into action. Pick your weapon of choice. We ride at dawn. It's a little intense. My own partner is like, can you do that over there? Because I need to, grieve. Understandable. But this time, I'll be honest, it was rougher. And it's been a challenge to really notice and make sure that I fill my cup before I try and pour into the movement. And I find myself turning my mind towards the Native people of this land for guidance, for inspiration, for hope. They have, after all, been working to heal this American empire for centuries. And what I found were these words from a song by Lyla June that I cannot stop returning to. Now, if you don't know Lyla June, she's an Indigenous musician, scholar, and community organizer of Navajo, Cheyenne, and European lineages. And she begins a song with these words. In our old societies, the greatest honor and bravery was bestowed to those who gave their lives, not those who took them. In what ways might we give our lives to this war? In what ways might we dedicate our time and energy to the children, the women, the elders? Yes, it is a battle of sorts, but not one of physical might. No, this is a battle of spiritual fortitude, where the deepest love and compassion are the only source of true and lasting victory. There will be no winning in a game where even one person loses. The only victory comes from lifting up all beings, all relations, and the only weapons we may use are truth, faith, and love. There's so much in these 9 sentences that call to me for this moment. The first is that energetic difference she describes between giving versus taking. Now, I've spent most of my adult life organizing in the climate movement. And in the climate movement, I've spent most of that time working to fight toxic chemicals or fight the oil companies, fight the gas companies. And these days we add to that list that we're fighting the billionaires, the oligarchs, the would-be kings. It's exhausting to have always this kind of fighting, intense, angry stance. And it makes me wonder, what would it look like, feel like, be like, to have a healing, loving orientation? I remember noticing this kind of fixed, angry stance during the height of the pandemic, when even all of the propaganda of binding us together, we said we're gonna fight COVID. And I was like, it's an illness. Could we have a banner that's we're gonna heal COVID? No, we must fight it. We always fight, that's what we know how to do. What would it look like if we ran campaigns saying we're going to heal the climate? We're going to heal the oil companies, the gas companies of their greed, sickness. We're going to heal the billionaires, the oligarchs, the would-be kings of their power, sickness. It reminds me of the story of the Wendigo. If you've never heard of the Wendigo is a spirit from Algonquin culture, which is the culture of Native Americans that spanned from the Northeast to the Midwest. And the Wendigo is a spirit that can possess you. And when you are possessed by a Wendigo, you have insatiable hunger to eat and eat and take and take. I've heard it said that when European settlers came to this land, some of whom I am descended from, some of the native people were like, are they okay? Are they possessed by a Wendigo? Because they seem to want to take and take and take. Given what I know about what they were fleeing, the Black Death, their own pandemic, the witch hunts, religious persecution, they were not okay. Maybe they also needed some deep healing. That January of the inauguration, when it really started to set in what we were facing, I went to the federal building downtown to check out some of the kind of spontaneous, disorganized rallies that were happening at the federal building right next to City Hall. Just masses of people kind of milling about, wondering, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And someone spontaneously started a chant, lock him up, lock him up. And people joined in. And I was disappointed. I wondered to myself, is this what this is gonna be like? We're gonna be revengey, do to them what they did to us? I mused in my little mischievous mind, what would happen if I tried to start a chant that went, mandatory therapy, mandatory therapy? I didn't, but I kind of wish I had. I don't know if people would have joined in or not. I want to just be really clear, though. Calling for mandatory therapy needs to be done carefully. That type of wording has been weaponized against queer people, against Native people, and others. But you get the point. Lyla June goes on to say, there will be no winning in a game where even one person loses. Not even one? My goodness, that's a really tall order. Now, if you hang out on the left, you may have heard the term collective liberation. And we throw it around like it's just, it's the thing we're gonna do, like collectively liberate ourselves. It's gonna be easy. No, it's not. I'm not even sure we always really feel what we're saying when we say that. Because if we are serious, that does mean a movement that is working to liberate everybody. Not just us, not just our friends, but it also includes the dictators, the oppressors, the abusers, every single person. And as Lyla June puts it, and all our relations. Now, yikes, how did we even get to this place where we're not even clear about loving on each other, about believing in each other's humanity, about wanting everyone to be included in liberation? Author and scholar Sir John Glubb, he studied 13 empires. He looked in the Middle East, he looked in Asia, he looked in Europe, and he saw a startlingly clear pattern when it comes to empire. They rise and fall in 6 pretty steady stages over 250 years. See some nodding and smiling. I'm guessing that's because some of you have connected the dots that this summer, this July 4th, is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of the Independence of the United States. So we are right on time for the decline of the American empire. He says, in the 6th and last stage, which he calls the age of decadence, that wealth and power have led to petty and negative behaviors Things like narcissism, consumerism, materialism. There's a celebrity culture that worships athletes, actors. And the leaders believe they are impervious and will govern forever. My God, it's like he's literally describing us. And I find some weird comfort in this. To know that humans have been in this exact moment, this decline of empire, not just now, not just once or twice, but like literally a lot of times. People have been here before and gotten through it. And to be clear, we don't have to do empire. We can choose a different way of being after this decline, after this thing that does not work, that is unworkable. We can be in this transformational moment and emerge into something better. Consider the Haudenosaunee, often referred to as the Iroquois Confederacy. Their government structure actually inspired the US Constitution. Part of the seal of the United States, the eagle grasping the arrows, is heavily influenced by the Haudenosaunee, and it is a symbol of an unbreakable set of arrows that shows strength and real unity. I'm on Team Democracy, and I think all of you are as well, unless there's a secret billionaire hidden in there who wants to extract wealth from all of us. Lyla June says, yes, it is a battle of sorts, but it's not one of physical might. No, it's a battle of spiritual fortitude, where the deepest love and compassion are the only source of true and lasting victory. This part of the quote always reminds me of Bayard Rustin. I work at home in Quincy, and next to my desk on the wall, I have a quote from him. He was a gay man who worked behind the scenes of the civil rights movement, and he said this: "Loving your enemy is manifest in putting your arms not around the man, but around the social situation, to take power back from those who misuse it, at which point they can become human too." When I think about ICE agents, the humans who've chosen to take a job with DHS, I think to myself, yeah, it probably doesn't make sense for me to try and go out and hug one. Right? Doesn't really make sense to try and put my arms around that person. I don't think that's going to work out so well. But it could work really well and is working well for us to put our arms around that social situation, to build enough power that we can dismantle ICE, abolish ICE, dismantle DHS, at which point those people can leave those jobs, maybe get a bunch of therapy, and become more human again. Because we are working for collective liberation for every single person. And remember, Lyla June calls on us to say the only weapons we may use in this battle are truth, faith, and love. These are the ways we must build our resistance deeper and stronger. That doesn't mean everyone has to go to the standout or the protest, though if that's your jam, go for it. There are so many ways to bring truth, faith, and love into this world. I think of the educators who bring, so much truth and education and critical thinking. I think of all of the hope builders who show us I don't know how this is going to work, but I continue anyway with my faith. I think of all the mothers today and parents who bring the love to all of the children and grandchildren. Any way that you're doing those things helps our movement. And so I ask you, pick your weapon of choice, because we ride at dawn. Thank you. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. There's too much hardship in this world to not find joy every day. There's too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There's too much pain in the world to not heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day.
Please join us, if you like, for coffee and conversation in Whitcomb Hall.